AI, artificial intelligence, was Steven Spielberg's 2001 film, and it was also supposed to have been Stanley Kubrick's final film. So yeah, Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg collaborating. How awesome is that? But unfortunately, Kubrick passed away back in 1999, and Spielberg took over. And yeah, this movie right here is just... it's rated as being one of Spielberg's worst films. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that this is actually one of his best films. Some of the flaws that people poke fun at, I simply think that they're not understanding everything. This movie is it's about humanity. It's about the end of life as we know it, and it's about it deals with great acting and family and individuality and what makes us human. Okay, one thing that the movie, that nobody can deny how amazing this movie looks. Like, this has got to be Spielberg's best looking film. I know that that his most recent thing being West Side Story, that's a beautiful looking film, but yeah, AI, artificial intelligence, all the way through, beautiful. And yeah, he did a Close Encounters of the Third Kind from 1977, which also has some great looking spaceships and aliens. But, that's not the whole film. The whole film is not beyond enchanting to see. It's just a couple of scenes in reality. Well, for real, it's just a couple of scenes. But in AI, really, it's a whole thing. It's very futuristic. It takes place like couple hundred years into the future, maybe it's like 1,000 years into the future. I don't remember, but yeah, this definitely Spielberg's best looking film. Some of the robots that are in the what am I saying? All the robots that are in this look fabulous. Recently, a couple years ago, there was that film Ex Machina, which I thought was very overrated. Yeah, these ones right here look better than those. So the movie is very much like Pinocchio. There's this man who's pretty much the Geppetto figure, who's played by William Hurt. He creates these new mecha, like mechanic sort of robots, and this is like so state of the art and so advanced. These new robots, which are like almost fully human as is, have been programmed to really think for themselves and even love and hate. But they're called David. That's pretty much the default name for these sort of robots. And David is played by Haley Joel Osment. Now, when the thing is, David can the programming on him, like the most that he can do. That's in terms of what general humans are. Is love. So yeah. Meanwhile, there's this family named the Swintons, and their son Martin is in a coma, and he may be an irreversible sort of one. And they end up. Well, Mr. Swinton ends up buying David as almost like a child replacement. Mrs. Swinton is just in shock. But she thinks that he's so lifelike and so interesting that she reluctantly goes along with it. And so yeah, it's great the way that like when David ends up being with the family for a little bit, and yeah, the family values of this film I thought were really top notch. And yeah, there's this like robotic teddy bear who's almost like the Jiminy Cricket of Pinocchio, and yeah, I thought that was kind of a good touch. So the Switton's son ends up getting out of his coma, and there's a little bit of sibling rivalry between them two, between David and their son. But yeah, it doesn't last long as David ends up getting a little bit more and more out of hand with things because he's just what he does know everything, and yeah, they decide to they were going to take him back. Like by this point, Mrs. Swinton has already triggered the love thing on him. So now he absolutely adores his new mother, even though she says, "Please don't call me mom. I'm not your actual mother." The love in him is so real. Like sometimes we forget that he's just a robot with some sort of mechanism in him. We really do forget that. And yeah, she like after the love thing happens on these mechas, and they're still bothersome. They have to be completely destroyed. They have to go to the planet to be destroyed. But she doesn't want that to happen. So, like a dope, she lets him free into the outside world, and that's where he meets this gigolo who's played by Jude Law, and yeah, he figures out if he can be a real boy like in Pinocchio, that his mother will love him again. And yeah, the rest of the movie is his journey, like Pinocchio, to be a real boy. But Pinocchio was a fantasy. This is a science fiction tale. So yeah, we know that there's no way that David can ever be a real boy, but boy oh boy do we ever hope so. Haley Joel Osment. I'd say this is second best. The Sixth Sense is Haley Joel Osment. I wouldn't say it's his best film, but it's his best performance that he's ever done. AI, second best performance. Best film, second best performance. The movie hinges. It doesn't hinge solely on him, but he's just so amazing in this. And there's so much complexity in each of these characters, even some of the robots, because the way that the robots are handled in this really make it so that they're like completely new, like actual human beings. That's how complex these new mechas really are. And all the themes about reality and the end of the world and everything, it's just beautifully handled. And of course you got the look of the film, the special effects, which are just so unbelievable. Yeah, I've seen this film 3 times and it always tugs at my heartstrings so hard. I'm just like, oh my god, like I'm just in tears by the end of the film whenever I see it. If you don't like AI, come on, it's been over 20 years. Please reevaluate it. This is truly a magnificent film. 4 stars.